Hello everyone, I am Squire Frederick, and today I'll be teaching my co-op spear fighting class. To begin, we're going to go over range, because range is one of the most important things to a spear fighter. There are three different kinds of ranges. There is green, yellow, and red. To start, green is well outside of anybody's range. There's nothing that I can do, even if I take a step, there's still nothing I can do to attack Blair in this situation. Yellow range is in this middle zone where I still can't hit Blair, but if I take one step, now we're in range. This yellow zone is I'm going to be a little bit more, prepared, kind of on my footwork, ready for if she were to take a step at me, I can then get ready to fight. Red range is we're in it. We're here. We're throwing shots. We're making openings. We're setting combos. I am full guard. I'm actively engaging my footwork. I'm actively making sure that she cannot hit me. Now, if we're talking about line fights and spear fighting here. We get our other folks in to help out. A spear is typically going to be the longest weapon on a field, typically. It has no weight requirement. It's very easy to make these things stupid long, anywhere from 6 to 10 feet long. When we are approaching a line, most fighters will stop in yellow range, where they can't really be hit, but if we were to take a step in, then we can fight. Most fighters like to be here all day long. They like this really big gap. But if you're fighting with a spear fighter, that creates a very large gap. You see, as we cannot engage either of them at all. Now, flip switch with me real quick. From here, if Cornelius and I step in, one, so he is now in his red range, maybe not for them. What can I do? What can I do from this position? Not much. I can give moral support, get him, Cornix, sick him. I can maybe block the odd shot from a projectile. I can maybe, if Blair were to push Cornix down, like they do with spears, I can maybe kill Blair, but what can Blair do from right here? What can Blair do? Blair can kill Cornix, right? That's not good. Ideally, you want to match range with your spear fighter. So if Cornix is there, I'm going to imagine that Cornix is at the end of his spear. Just as if we were fighting with a boardman. I'm going to be up here. Now, what can I do from here? I can attack while Cornix attacks. If Cornix creates an opening, I can monopolize on that. If I create an opening for Cornix and say I throw on Blair's shoulder and Blair blocks, Cornix can get a kill. If Blair now tries to push Cornix, I can kill her before she even gets to him. There's no threat. Your spear fighter is your QB. You want to protect them at all costs. They're going to do all of your damage for you. All right, next we're going to go over positioning. So most pairs of fighters, if you take any two kits, generally, if they get stacked on top of each other, so Blair sit in front of Flint, this is a disadvantageous position for them. If I were to walk up, Flint can't really do that much. I can fight Blair all day long, but we see how Flint is getting really tied up on Blair. Now, flip that around. Y'all can go back. If me and Cornix are really, really on top of each other, Cornix is still engaged. Now, he can't get full range, right? He can't go over here and fight people on this side, but he can still fight the people in front of us really well. So in that way, spear fighters have a lot more control and flexibility when it comes to where you are in relation to them. And they will use that. You should expect them to be moving around you. You just need to make sure that wherever you are able to still support them, and they'll support you. All right. Now, we're going to go into like small team 2v2 tournaments and etc. These are kind of more exceptions to all the field fighting that we just talked about. Now, when you're starting off in a small team situation where both teams are have to approach each other, sometimes it does make sense for your spear to be more forward. If we start in a team tournament, it is the most advantageous. We're going to switch sides actually here so I can talk to the camera better. You want to take as much ground as possible in a tournament, and that is so that you can have more room to maneuver. It also it helps drive your momentum, and it helps keep the enemy on a back foot. Now, if we start out and I'm rushing ahead, I'm at about this much range, right? But if Cornix takes the charge, Cornix has an 8-foot head start, right? So he will already be 8 feet ahead of wherever the enemy is, wherever you land out. Also on top of that, when you're doing, when you approach, if they're both running at each other, it is much more difficult to discern his range when he's running at you. So that gives him the opportunity to take a couple of quick picks while they're still getting up and getting stanced. You should both be prepared. If you take this tactic, that your spear fighter is going to want to probably, if momentum stalls, to get back to the original position. So I need to be ready. If I'm following behind him and we're doing a charge, I'm going to be ready for him to take a couple stabs, and then I'm going to take the front again. All right. Onto left and right side positioning on your spear fighter. If you're ever concerned about which side your spear fighter would prefer you to be on, you can just ask them. But if they say something like, it doesn't matter, or I don't care, or they don't respond to you at all, some tips to keep in mind is you want to not be on the side of their board. If they have a forward-facing board, me being here is not adding a whole lot of value for him, right? Because he already has some protection. Ideally, I would be on this side of him. Almost always, this is preferred, so that if something is coming from this side, I can block. If something comes from that side, he can block. Now, if you're using a longer red sword like Flint, switch me again. If Cornix and Flint are here, and let's say so you all swap. That's your stance already. And Flint wants to try and swing. He's gonna now have to swing all of his shots on the outside. And that's something to keep in mind here is that he doesn't want to swing into a spearman, right? That is less of an issue if Flint is where he should be, which is stepped up a little bit. Now here, more towards me. This way, towards us. Okay. If Flint is here, where he should be, he is now not worried about swinging in the Cornix, right? Because he's in front of Cornix, where he should be. Thank you. You stabbed the microphone. If you are a left-handed board, that's another thing to consider too. So let's fall back. If I'm on this left side and I'm standing right next to Cornix, like I really shouldn't be, but just as an example, my shots now are going to be swinging into Cornix. My sword's over here. If someone walks up the Cornix on this side, I'm going to have to swing over him. Not ideal. If I'm on this side, it is a little better. However, again, if I'm where I should be, up here, I have all the room in the world to swing. It doesn't matter where I'm at, left or right of him. It's fine. If, for whatever reason, you don't have a board, and you're dumb, or you're Flint, you put yourself wherever is most comfortable for you to swing from. Because at the end of the day, what's most important is that you are engaging with the spearman. So if you're not comfortable swinging from on this side, and that means that you're going to be back here letting him do all the work, that's fine. Switch sides. I don't care if his board's over here. I'm still going to switch because now I can engage them. And that's what's most important here is that we can both engage because in this situation, this is a 1v2. This is a very glorified 1v2. And here, now it's a 2v2. Or if Flint wasn't here, it'd be a 2v1, which is, again, better for you. Do we have any questions? Good?
How do you control your spearmen?
This.
Show us how to direct healing your opponent.
Say that again?
How do you control your opponent's move with your spearmen?
With my spearman. In the case of this class, this is the scope of from the perspective of not the spearman. So I'm not teaching you how to fight with other people as a spearman. I'm teaching you as a boardman or a red fighter to fight alongside a spearman this way. So if your spearman is not cooperating with you, obviously good communication is everything, right? If you say, hey, on your left, and I walk up here and we stance up, I am kind of like leaving up the chance here, right? Like I'm hoping that he knows what he's doing. If you know your spear fighter better, you have a lot of experience fighting with them, maybe that communication doesn't need to happen. But if I say, hey, left target, hit the left target, we can both control the one person. If he gets pushed, I need to have awareness here. If Flint pushes him, I need to know. Like, if I die here and I kill Flint, that's fine. My spearman is still up. We're still good. This is still an advantage. Your spearman does a lot of work on a field fight, way more than most fighters. So he is still. If we're talking in terms of chess, that's a positive trade. If I come up here and I fight and Cornix gets pushed and I kill Flint, so Cornix doesn't die and Blair kills me, we still trade it up. We're still doing good. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to take 10 times out of 10. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are some of the shots you can throw to open up shots for Flint?
Anything that moves their board. If we're talking about a boardman, on Flint, if you're a good spear fighter, that should be pretty taken care of. But genuinely, just the distraction alone, Blair, even if I throw the stupidest shots, I don't know how to do anything at all, right? I'm a brand new fighter. Blair still has to, as long as I throw a shot at Blair, not over here, Blair still has to pay attention to me. So even if I throw board side shoulder, which is like Talon's favorite move, right? Blair still has to do something. Blair cannot block Cornix, right? Even if she doesn't move her shield, yeah, see, now here, literally anything. You just got to do anything so that they're not blocking Cornix, or vice versa. If they are blocking Cornix, they're not blocking you. Just take advantage of that. It's a very opportunistic way of fighting.
How valuable are legs?
Legs can be valuable. On a field fight, I would say legs are very valuable. You can leg and leave them. In a tournament, even more so, because the opponent cannot move into support. If you leg somebody, let's fight. So if Blair gets legged, we're going to swap over, right? Now we're going to try and fight. We're going to be fighting Flint, right? Obviously, if you can stack them up, as we discussed, everything except for a spear does very, very poorly in that situation. So when somebody is legged, that's your opportunity to stack them and let your spear fighter go to work.
Do you think the apply if your spearman
If it depends on the skill of your spear fighter. I have seen some pretty sick one-handed spear shots. Their control is going to be a little bit hampered. Their ability to respond and react to those opportunities that I open for them is going to be hampered as well, because he's just now having to control so much more. So if I make these opportunities, he can still do it. His accuracy is going to be a little compromised. His speed is going to be a little compromised. It kind of depends on your spear fighter.
When you mentioned 2v2,
His range could be comprehended. A single-handed spear shot can be longer than a normal spear shot if you don't have both hands on it. Doing a full extend, that actually is more range than he normally has. I don't classify that as in normal range when I'm talking about the green, yellow, and reds, because he has to put himself in a very compromised position to do something like that. That is an extraordinary move. So it's not really what I'm talking about when I talk about the ranges there. Is that good? Answer your question? Cool. All right. Is there any other questions?
I do, yeah.
You were talking about red, yellow, and green range. I often hear those referred to as like A, B, and C range. How do those map on?
I've only ever known it as green, yellow, and red. However you want to put it in your head, just keep in mind that there are 3 different levels of engagement that you have with opponents, depending on how close you are to them. This matters more for your spear fighter. That's why it's important to understand those things, because again, he kind of has an ideal effective range, right? If he's this far, this is ideal for him, right? He can hit his opponents can't hit him. But if he steps forward more, he doesn't want to be here, right? If you were with another boardman in this situation, this would be great. You're both fighting shoulder to shoulder. You're both in range. But here, this is bad for him, even if it's good for me, which is why it's important to stagger yourselves. Any others?
Yeah. So in 2v2, you talked about tactics for that. What happens in a 2v2 when they split? How do you handle that?
When they split, the best. We're getting a little out of scope with this question, but I'm going to go ahead because this. The question was, when you're in a 2v2 situation, what happens when they don't take the 2v2 fight? They instead try to split you. It's a little outside of the scope of this class because that goes into more tournament tactics, and that's not quite what I'm going for. But just fine. If they do split, so say that Flint and Blair are splitting us, in this situation, you either take the ones and just hope, right? You hope that you're better than the person you're fighting, or in this situation, we say we're left, and we just try and rush down the one person before the second can respond, and then quickly return. It really is going to depend on your team dynamic. You always do have the option of just backing up as they wrap around you. So if you guys split again, split. If you just back up, then they are still in front of us, right? You don't want to let them get beside you, so you let them stagger themselves and then take whatever one's closer. That is an option. That is why it's so important to gain as much of the arena as you can. In that first scenario, when you're running all the way to the middle or to past the middle, this advantage that the 8 feet is going to give you, you can then use if they do something like that to split. Any other questions?
Does the dynamic change if you or your spearman is leg?
Yes, absolutely. It matters less so if your spearman is legged, because your movements generally won't change that much. Like I said, if we're on top of each other like this, right, and that's their goal to stack us up, he can still do some pretty good shots from here. With a buckler like he's got, he's really defensible in this position. So I have to do less guarding him in that case, and I can be more next to him in this scenario, because if they push him, he's got a really solid, a really low profile to be hit, and I can still take advantage of that before he's at risk. Not a great position. If I'm legged, I'm going to act as bait effectively here. I want them to come and swing on me, and I want corners to take advantage of that. Any more? All right, great. This has been Co-op Spear Fighting with Squire Frederick. I hope you guys learned something.
Excellent class.
Thank you.
Well,